Hello, everybody. So today I have a bit of a different video. It's my fundamental belief that we are in a recession, at least per my definition, and that it may get worse before it gets better. And so the idea of this video is, are our companies, are my investments safe given different type of customers and their behavior during a recession? So I want to go with Snowflake, Zscaler, and Hims and present kind of my view. So let's go with Snowflake. So Snowflake customers, in my view, are likely to halt spending during a recession. Yes, I believe, and I sold Snowflake because of that after I saw their latest quarter, which really did not make me feel good. I think a lot of companies are likely to stop their migration to a data cloud. They're likely to just stay with their old legacy solution. Maybe they use Google's BigQuery, maybe they use something with AWS, or maybe they have something on premise. But I just don't think during a recession right now, while companies are, struggling to say make that debt service and pay that debt service, and sometimes have to engage in layoffs just in order to service the debt because the interest rates have spiked so much. I think their priority is just not going to be upgrading of a business, and we've seen this so much within the past 6 months. I've been so frustrated. So many great companies stopped investing in their future, stopped upgrading their business processes. Right? Snowflake is a wonderful service. It's a wonderful service when you're a growing firm and you're trying to be much better and much more efficient. But right now, companies are so short term, and so that's why I think a lot of them are stopping to spend on nice to have items like Snowflake, which become nice to have when you already have a legacy solution, and many companies have some sort of a legacy solution. And just listen to the management team, like take it from the management team. That's kind of an excerpt of what they say on the call here. So for example, CFO say, I think it's customers being a little more cautious in their business and just buying as they consume, right? They don't sign contracts. They pay as they go, right? Think about a telco with only prepaid subscription. It's kind of the same way. This is another one from the CFO. The big change is really we're seeing the younger cohorts, even new people that they brought on in 2021, 2022. The younger cohorts of Snowflake are ramping at a slower pace than what some of the early adopters of Snowflake did. Yeah, they ramp very, very slow because we are in a recession. Here's another one later in the call. I would say, I mentioned in my remark, and as I've said before, financial services is the biggest vertical. And you also have media and technology, financial services, media, technology right now. These are all the industries that are not doing too well, right? I mean, financial services, look at what's happened to the mortgage sector, to the refi sector, right? The banks, there's a little bit of struggle going on with the banks. They make much of their money lending money, and they can't lend money anymore. Technology, think about all of the layoffs that are happening in technology. They're not hiring data scientists right now. A lot of companies, especially legacy companies, are worried, and I think this is going to hurt Snowflake. Snowflake is a nice to have when you have insane rate hikes, and this is kind of the last one, which is their conversion, right? They've converted pipeline. They've converted only 90% of their pipeline into bookings, and historically it's been 140%. This was in Q4. So from Q4 to Q1, that fell off a cliff. Like they're not converting as much. The deals are understated right now. Deals get pulled in. That did not happen this quarter. So, they had a number of customers, big customers, who rather than consume everything, they would rather just buy just enough capacity to go through the quarter or the next quarter instead of doing a big multi-year deal. So customers are being very cautious and spending the bare minimum that they can. So when I look at a company like Snowflake, I think Snowflake, big data, and especially what's the main use of big data right now, which is still unfortunately dashboard. I think they're seeing a lot of delay in the adoption, and so that's I think going to hurt them during a recession. And if you read more into the call, they say they have a lot of contracts that are up for renewal in 2023, and they don't know if customers will just pay as they go and go as they go and have a wait and see approach. So that's why I sold Snowflake. I'm worried that a lot of customers are not making migration to the data cloud a priority right now because they have more pressing issues, such as dealing with their debt and company debt and customers of recession. So moving on to Zscaler. So Zscaler is an entirely different story. As you know, I like Zscaler. The stock was down. I haven't touched the stock. I'm keeping my Zscaler position. But asking the same question, right? Are Zscalers likely to stop spending into a recession? Well, the data shows us that no, they actually raised their guidance. Zscaler, and this is a tweet I made, they had given us a guidance for full 2023 of 1.49 billion, and they raised it to 1.52 billion. So they actually raised their guidance for the full year of 2023. They expect an increase in their revenue even more. And so what that tells me is that cybersecurity spending is still very healthy, and we can understand that intuitively. That is probably the last thing companies will cut. Cybersecurity is always there, and it's always on the rise and always getting more sophisticated. Companies have no choice. But they did see, Zscaler did see a slowdown in their billings. And if you read about the company, read the call, looked at a different thing, it seems to be that it's related to lower priced competition. So Zscaler has competition now who is lower price. And so a lot of legacy cybersecurity companies, for example, like Palo Alto Networks, they are upselling their zero trust solution that they've now, optimized, and they've made better their solutions, and they're upscaling, selling them to their customers. And so it's tough for Zscaler to get a lot of new customers. There's just more competition right now. But I don't think companies will cut cybersecurity. And as the size of the pie grows from the whole market of cybersecurity, I believe Zscaler will have its fair share of that pie. And then you have natural competitive dynamics go. And of course, the market share of Zscaler is likely going to drop a little bit. But they are still the leader in my view. And by the way, Zscaler, I sleep well at night because Zscaler is a smaller position in my portfolio than, say, CrowdStrike, and I'm excited to hear about CrowdStrike next week. So when I look at a company like Zscaler, I'm like, yeah, there is some risk. There is competition that's getting a little more heated up, but cybersecurity is still an imperative. Their customers are still going to keep spending with them and spending more. And even though they have seen a slowdown, I believe over the long run, it's pretty recession proof. Although it is harder to differentiate IT, right? IT is it's not a tangible product, it's not a visible product, it's a B2B sell. So I would argue it's harder, and so you have a lot of more price sensitive consumers and buyers. And then the last company that I want to cover is Hims. So as you may know where this is headed, I'm going to tell you that I think Hims is doing much better in a recession. So Hims gave us 2025 guidance, which is insane, which really says to the confidence that they have about the future. I believe Hims is very well positioned with this product for the recession because Hims and Hers have valuable products. Cybersecurity is a fundamental need for a corporation, so that's good too. Data is right now is not a pressing matter for corporation, but I believe Hims not only as a fundamental product, but I believe that their positioning against the competition is much better. There's always two elements. You have, is the product needed and wanted, and do you have something competitively that gives you an edge? And I'll just quickly show you Hims. But first of all, why is Hims product valuable? Well, this is Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? You've probably seen this before. It's very famous, perhaps too famous. But anyways, when you deal with basic needs of people, like your customers, you know, there's gonna be things that Hims and Hers absolutely deals with. Like sex, homeostasis, everything that has to do with self-esteem. All of that are fundamental functions that I think the Hims preventative healthcare company deals with and tries to cater to. And so I think their products address a fundamental human need, something that customers will want to address. And so, for example, if a man has ED, they will want it fixed. If a woman or a man lose their hair, especially for women, they will want it fixed, right? They don't want to lose their hair. That deals with your esteem. That deals with perhaps your love or belonging. That deals with physiological love with yourself, right? And also, like if you have depression, anybody with depression or anxiety, this is something that they're going to want to fix. This is something fundamental. This is part of a pyramid of needs. And so I believe the product, right, the offering is more valuable than not getting treated for most people. Most people will choose getting treated over saving money, because these are like in the case of physiological needs, these are something as fundamental as food or water, which is really, really strong, right? You're not going to be happy, quite simply, if you have some of these problems. So I think they address a lot of big issues. And then, there's the competition. And this is why Hims sales are growing so much despite the recession right now. As you have competition, of course, the competition is still mostly today the legacy healthcare system. And legacy healthcare, right, if you buy drugs from legacy healthcare, it's more costly in dollars, but it's especially more costly in time. All of my Hims videos that I've made is all about, takes forever. You got to see the primary doctor, then you got to go to another doctor, then you have to go to a pharmacy, you have to deal with multiple people. I also want to say, and this is new for today, but there is emotional cost in legacy that you do not have in the new type of online selling that a company like Hims is offering. Because if you look at a lot of Gen Z and Gen X, millennials as well, many of them may feel uneasy going in person and discussing physiological matters or esteem issues in person with a family doctor that you've known for a long time. So I think there's an emotional cost associated with that, with disclosing that information that you don't necessarily have when you go online. And so that's why I believe for selling a lot of these preventative products, it's a better way to go is to go online. And you could say, yes, there is online competition, and it's alive and well, and it keeps Hims on its toes, and we all know there's competition. There's going to be competition when there's a huge market. It's kind of external validation, but then the fundamental assessment that I make for Hims is, the branding I think is much superior for Hims, and I've made a few videos about this, but I think Hims, and if you look any of the early interviews of Andrew Durham, the founder, it's all about respecting the patient, being customer centric, like respecting your consumer, making it less scary, less intimidating for the consumer. That's why they create more innovative products where they try to have compounds. They write the name of the molecule and the name of the product, but they don't upsell or upplay it, right? It's a very respectful marketing, and this is something that you get a sense when you look at ads of the competition, and every day there's new competition coming, and every day there's new stuff in that field, because it's a very high demand product. But if you look at, for example, some of the competition that I've seen as of this morning, so this is an example of I do a lot of research on Hims, so I get like ads on different websites. This is an ad that I got on a website, and I just think this is disrespectful. I mean, the product is called Score Blue. And it's funny, like they say, oh, most everybody else is illegitimate. We're legitimate, and look at how they spell legitimate, right? And this is not auto written. Like, this is actually how they wrote it, legitimate. Like, I just don't think that's good marketing. This doesn't look like good marketing to me. Maybe it's a personal opinion, but I'm comfortable, thinking that. And this is another one, which this is Framework Investment, who shared that with me on Twitter. And I'm shocked by this. Like, you call your product, you mention your product the one nighter. Like, who are you marketing to? Like to me, this is extremely disrespectful to the consumer. To me, it's extremely disrespectful. I just don't like it at all. Maybe it's more personal than anything. So there's competition. Competition is going to, of course, take some sales away from Hims, because Hims is the market leader. When you're the market leader and someone else comes, you're gonna take some sales away. But I do believe in the long run they will prevail, because they have a superior marketing. And if you go on their website, you'll probably see what I mean. They did a lot of user experience design. There's a lot of design that goes into that company. I know a little bit about design, and I can tell you that a lot of their product follows timeless principles, current principles of design, which you don't necessarily see in a lot of the competition. So now that I'm done comparing the two, let me just address 1 second why, that this whole recession, because there's still talk out there that we're not in a recession, and you still have people, they're going to get the soft landing, there's going to be a soft landing. And, I kind of wanted to make this a separate video, but I'll put it in this video because a lot of people don't watch my macro videos. But it's just worth noting that the Fed, is determined to take us into a major recession, and these are the predictions right now for interest rates, and it looks like we're going to have interest rates with a 5 handle, maybe 5.25 towards the end of the year, and so this is very, very expensive. This makes borrowing extremely expensive. That's why a lot of stocks that are linked to macro went down. You can see that the 10-year Treasury, it's a miracle. It went down under 4% yesterday. But you can see that we're back at the worst levels that we had around October or November. Stocks were the most down in that era. We're back at this. And obviously, if those predictions come true, the 10-year is going to go up even more. Layoffs are picking up, right? I believe the run rate of layoffs just in the tech sector alone is going to be about 50,000 layoff a month. So that's a tremendous amount of layoffs. You keep having layoffs all the time. And the Fed doesn't see this. Why does the Fed not see this? Because they use lagging indicators that have been around for 30 years before the internet was around. And also, even if Powell looks at those indicators that are not lagging, for example, layoffs, I think it's all about reputation at this point, and we may not get someone who drops rates until we get the new chair of the Fed, and this is also the thing. Like, it can only take the bankruptcy of a few large companies for them to do a 180 move and for panic to set in the market, and this is kind of something that's on my mind, which is if they keep raising these rates, you're gonna have a lot of big companies that are going to go bankrupt. And I just want to show you an example. I think a sad example, but there's plenty of companies like that. Let's just take, an example of a company like AT&T. So AT&T is one of the most indebted companies. They actually spun off a bunch of that debt recently, but they still have 136 billion in debt. And really simply, this stuff is so simple. This is some of the notes that are due for AT&T, some of their more recent commercial notes, right? And you can see these were the rates that they were able to get, right? So they had plenty of debt in the 1%, 1%, 1.9%, 1.3%. I get this one is a little more expensive, 2.8%. But you can see they were borrowing a bunch of money very, very, very cheaply. And so throughout 2023 and 2024, they have a casual $10.5 billion in debt maturing. Maturing means they have to pay it off, right? They're going to have to pay it off in 2023 and 2024. Now, of course, they have nice cash from operations at $10 billion there, but they also have a dividend. They also have competitive matters and, prices price competition. They may have to drop prices to keep selling. They have a lot of employees. They have to invest for the future. That cash is not earmarked just to pay off the debt. And so you end up with companies that oftentimes choose and have to roll over that debt. And when you roll over the debt, your only solution right now, if you roll over that debt, is about 6%, is what the new debt of AT&T is. And, you better hope that you don't lose that credit rating, because if you were to lose that credit rating, that could be tremendous. So that could be tremendously bad. So when I look at a company like AT&T, I'm extremely worried, because the cost to service that debt is just going to go up and up and up and up. And, at this point, you better hope that you don't have to innovate and no innovation happens in the space, right? You better hope if you have that debt rising so fast on every loan that renews, you better hope that you can pass on price increases. You better start cutting that dividend right away and start laying off as well, because all of these loans, some of them you're going to decide to pay off, because the market is going to give you new interest rates at really, really a high amount. I mean, think about that. So you have $10 billion in debt. So think about if AT&T wants to go out and borrow another $3 billion, right? They're going to be quoted, 6.5-7% on that $3 billion against, say, for example, 0.9% for this $2.2 billion. So these are companies that are literally mountains of debt, and it's all about managing that mountain of debt. And so if you look, the S&P 500, take a bunch of sectors, right? Auto sector, industrial sector, utilities. Take about all these sectors. Think about all the debt that they have and the problem that this is causing. This can cause bankruptcy for many, many, many firms. And you end up with firms that have so much debt that they almost manage it like a Ponzi. Like this is an example of AT&T's longer duration debt. You can see they don't hesitate borrowing $6 billion that matures in 2057, right? $1.3 billion that matures in 2066. Right, so these are mountains of debt, and you keep issuing more debt to take care of the mountain of debt because you think you can, because you're a utility, and utilities have 100% sure customers, right? Well, no. The customers of utilities are not 100% sure, right? This is something that happened last year, which lost a lot of coverage, but the whole partnership between T-Mobile and SpaceX, right? Internet is going satellite. And is satellite going to be commonplace 5 years from now? Are we all going to have internet 5 years from now through the internet? And it's going to be much, much, much better, by the way, because AT&T does not have the tens of billions of dollars that it needs to upgrade the network. So is everybody just going to get a satellite internet? This is the kind of thing that I wonder. And so a lot of these companies have so much debt that they can't invest in innovation, and then it doesn't take losing a lot of customers. It doesn't take that much for the companies to collapse, and this is directly due to the interest rates right now. And that's part of the reason why I believe there is no choice but to take the interest rates back down to zero. I believe the Fed will pivot. And by the way, this is the same for the federal government. They have to roll over debt at crazy high level, and you don't want to end up the government's number one expense be interest expense. And this is the same for a lot of cities. This is the same for a lot of leveraged pension systems who borrowed a lot of money to invest. Anyways, this is why I believe that the interest rates will go down. So even though we're in a recession right now, and I think some companies are better suited to resist to that recession, as evidenced by the presentation I made, I also believe in the long run, once we are past that recession, so many of these growth stocks are going to shoot up. So anyways, this is not investment advice, right? This is just entertainment, not investment advice. Thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you.